Welcome back to The Outsider Edge, redefining economics, management, and psychology with Dr. Ravier. This is our second season.
And it's great to be back. We're continuing our exploration of Dr. Ravier's book, Self-Management.
That's right. This is our third installment looking at the book, and today we're diving into Chapter 3. It's called The Nature of Knowledge and Modes of Management.
And we really want to unpack Dr. Ravier's core insights in this chapter today.
Okay, so the fundamental idea, the starting point for this chapter, it seems to be that whether we're tackling a problem or, chasing a goal, we're actually dealing with the same underlying reality.
Exactly. Dr. Ravier argues that these two things, solving a problem right now versus striving for a future objective, they might feel different psychologically.
Sure, one feels immediate, the other more aspirational.
Right. But he says they're essentially two sides of the same coin. In fact, he suggests they always coexist. They're almost the same thing.
Okay, let's break that down. How does he get there?
Well, it stems from his view of the human condition. He posits that we exist in a state of, permanent scarcity, dissatisfaction, ignorance, and uncertainty.
Permanent, that sounds kind of bleak.
He argues it's not about pessimism, it's an objective reality. It doesn't matter how wealthy or knowledgeable or secure you feel subjectively.
Okay, give us an example.
Even if you feel rich, you still need to acquire food, resources, day after day. That very need points to a kind of scarcity, that drive to improve, to learn more, feel safer. That's the dissatisfaction, ignorance, and uncertainty he's talking about. It's always there.
I see. So it's less about absolute lack and more about the continuous human state of needing, wanting, not knowing everything.
Precisely. And he connects this to the bigger picture. He argues that the entire field of social sciences, economics, dealing with scarcity, psychology with dissatisfaction, education with ignorance, entrepreneurship with uncertainty, they exist because of these fundamental human conditions.
That makes sense. So if these conditions are inherent,
then it follows naturally that every goal we set arises from some kind of perceived problem. And just identifying a problem inherently implies there's a potential objective solving it. They're inseparable.
Okay. Problems and goals are fundamentally linked. How does this connect to management?
This leads to a really core point about organizations. Dr. Ravier argues that all organizations, whether they're for-profit businesses or nonprofits, they fundamentally exist to solve these human problems.
So problem solving isn't just part of management.
He says it is the core function of management. Everything boils down to addressing these issues.
And that applies to everyone in the organization.
Yes, down to the individual level. Every decision, every action contributes somehow to problem resolution. And crucially, he emphasizes this requires creative power from individuals to find efficient solutions.
Creative power. That leads us to knowledge, doesn't it?
It does. This chapter introduces a really crucial distinction, drawing from Michael Polanyi, the difference between technical knowledge and tacit knowledge.
Okay. Technical knowledge, that's the stuff we can write down, right? Like an instruction manual, a recipe, code.
Exactly. It can be articulated, stored, transferred. Think about the printing press. As Ravier notes, it massively amplified our ability to handle this kind of knowledge. It's dominated how we often think about knowing things.
But then there's tacit knowledge. What's the gist of that?
Tacit knowledge is the kind you can't easily write down or explain. Polanyi's classic example is learning to ride a bicycle.
Right. You can read about it, watch videos, but you only know how once you actually get on and will probably fall a few times. You internalize it.
Precisely. It's learned through experience, trial and error, that personal understanding. And Dr. Ravier's key argument here is that problem solving itself has a huge tacit component.
So it's not just following steps A, B, C. It involves intuition, judgment,
self-learning, self-management, self-regulation skills you develop through doing. And this distinction, technical versus tacit, has massive implications for management styles. Well, Dr. Ravier suggests that if you believe knowledge is primarily technical, easily transferable,
then you lean towards a command and control approach. Rules, procedures, telling people exactly what to do.
Exactly, because the assumption is that knowledge can be fully codified and directed from the top down.
But if you recognize the importance of tacit knowledge,
then you need a different environment.
Right.
One that fosters self-management, where people can actually use their experience, their intuition, their tacit understanding to solve problems creatively.
That makes sense. And he argues that tacit knowledge is becoming more important now.
Yes, critically so. Because technical knowledge, especially with the internet and AI, is becoming increasingly accessible, almost a commodity.
So having the manual isn't the competitive advantage it once was.
Right. The real differentiator is the ability to use knowledge effectively, to integrate it, apply it creatively in new situations, and that relies heavily on Tacit's skills.
And those command and control models might actually hinder that.
He argues they often do, unintentionally. They can stifle the application of Tacit knowledge and the creative problem-solving that comes with it.
Okay, so Tacit knowledge is key. Does he delve deeper into how it actually works?
He does. He builds on Polanyi's work, but adds his own insights, really focusing on how understanding Tacit knowledge helps implement self-management.
What are the key concepts there?
One is the capacity for Tacit integration of knowledge. This is essentially the wellspring of creativity, where new ideas pop up from connecting different bits of information or experience, sometimes in unexpected ways.
How does our mind do that?
Ravier explains it using two levels of consciousness. There's focal consciousness, what you're directly paying attention to. And then there's subsidiary consciousness, working in the background, integrating elements relevant to the task or problem.
And we often can't really explain how that subsidiary part works.
Exactly. It's often inarticulable. Think about trying to remember something your focal awareness is trying, while your subsidiary awareness is digging through connections until suddenly the answer emerges.
Okay, so creativity kind of bubbles up from that subsidiary process.
Right. It happens when your focal attention is on the goal, the distal element, while the subsidiary awareness works with the proximal elements, the details, the tools, the immediate context.
And Ravier outlines a structure for this integration.
Yes, he breaks it down into aspects. There's the functional aspect. Shifting your focal awareness allows the subsidiary part to work on specific elements.
Then there's the critical aspect. This seems important. It's Revier's edition.
Yes. This is about identifying the critical factors that link the goal, distal, with the immediate situation, proximal. Finding that link is key for the integration to happen.
So you need to know what really matters to connect the big picture to the here and now.
Precisely. Then comes the semantic aspect. Once your focus is on that critical factor, the subsidiary awareness can integrate things. This leads to the phenomenal aspect, Polanyi's change of appearance.
The aha moment, when things click into place.
Exactly. A new understanding emerges. And finally, the ontological aspect. This whole process leads to a deeper grasp of the integrated entity, allowing you to repeat it, apply it elsewhere.
Wow, okay. That's quite a framework. How does this translate into implementing self-management practically?
From these aspects, Ravier identifies three essential elements for implementing self-management effectively. First, purpose or finality.
The big why.
Yes.
Yep.
Having that clear overarching goal provides the distal focus for everyone's focal consciousness. It aligns efforts.
Makes sense. What's second?
The critical achievement factor, or CAF. This is about identifying and working on those crucial factors that bridge the purpose and the day-to-day actions. It operationalizes that integration process.
So knowing what specific things need to happen to reach the goal?
Right. And the third element is commitments. These represent the proximal level, the immediate drivers for action and self-learning. They're based on individual responsibilities and objectives with clear ways to measure success.
Purpose, critical factors, commitments. That seems like a practical translation.
It is. So Ravier concludes that self-management isn't just, well, we hope this exploration in the outsider edge, digging into Chapter 3 of Dr. Ravier's self-management, has given you some valuable insights into his perspective on problem-solving, the critical role of tacit knowledge, and those foundational elements of self-management.
Yeah, these concepts, purpose, critical factors, commitments, understanding tacit integration, they really lay the groundwork for figuring out how individuals and organizations can genuinely foster creativity and tackle the challenges they face more effectively.
We encourage you to think about how these ideas might apply in your own context. Join us next time on The Outsider Edge as we continue our journey through Dr. Ravier's self-management.